Would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Elba,
Here.
Mrs. Gator,
Here.
Mrs. Moomin,
Here.
Miss Mitchell,
Here.
Mr. Freeman.
Here, all in attendance. 1.2 of the board agenda, if you could stand and face the flag. Recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Next on our board agenda is 1.3, approval of the agenda. Board members, have you had a chance to review the agenda for tonight?
Yes, sir.
Is there any corrections or any additions that you would like to add on this agenda for tonight, board?
No, but I do want to talk about 5.1. We never agreed that there will be any type of presentation. And so
Or
5.1, the career fair, we never discussed having a presentation here at the work session.
it
And
was old business.
she won't be here in attendance. So if anybody had any questions, she said that I can answer them if you guys had any.
It's
So
up to the board. I mean, that's
I'm
fine.
just letting you know about the
No, I thank you. I
presentation.
appreciate it. I didn't know. I
Okay.
mean,
Well, she said you called her and asked her to.
right. I mean, yeah, the board, it was old business, and she's the director of that actual career fair, so that's why the board wanted to be involved. I know she said she got a call from Miss Mumin, so, or Miss Mumin, you was gonna be part of it? Career fair? Yeah, so.
She hasn't called yet,
Oh, okay. Is there any other changes or corrections, board?
though. So we're not discussing the career fair at all?
I guess she's not coming. I want to talk
Well,
to the
if
person.
you have if you have a question, I can answer it, but she will not be here to present, because that's not what we agreed upon for our meeting.
Who is,
If
Yeah.
I can address
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
floor.
Yeah, who
Mr.
did
Chair.
agreed?
So what we did, we shared twice now, and last year and this year, when we talked about the work session, that there would be opportunities if information needed to be shared, that we would share it, so that we could discuss it, and the only way to share it is sometimes in a presentation.
But, right, and I get that, but we said, the five of us, we did say it was not gonna be any at a work session unless we all agreed upon it. We didn't all agree upon this. But in either case, it doesn't matter for us to go round and round. If anybody
doesn't
have a
matter.
question, I can answer it, otherwise she will not be present, okay?
Today, correct. Today, she won't be present today.
so just if you could leave it on the agenda?
Yes,
have
I will.
One question to ask, so that's fine.
Okay. Superintendent Jolly, have you reviewed this agenda? Is there any corrections or any addition? Treasurer Dr. Rock, have you reviewed this agenda for tonight?
Yes.
Have you made sure that this district has the adequate funds to pay for any of these items on the
Yes.
agenda tonight?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question. At what point will we discuss House Bill 512?
It's going to be under the policy, I think it's five,
Policy discussion?
Well, it's not a policy.
right, it's 5.2 after the five, well, I guess it would be 5.3, actually. No, Ms. Gator had just some information from the legislative agenda, and it's in your package to the left-hand side about the actual House Bill 512. So it would be 5.3, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
So let that reflect that House Bill 512 will be at 5.3. I didn't have a chance to put it back on there, I'm sorry. Dr. Rock, any other?
No, sir.
Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes, motion carries. 1.4 is public participation. Is there anybody in the audience?
Excuse me. Dr. Rock? Dr. Rock, who made the motion and who seconded that? Because I don't recall anybody doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, my fault, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion for 1.3, approval of agenda, March 12, 2018?
Mr. Chair, I move that this board approve item 1.3, the March 12th working session with the addition of item 5.3, discussion of House Bill 512.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved by Vice President Mitchell, second by Board Member Mumin. Any discussion? Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Next on our board agenda is public participation. Is there anyone that would like to speak today? Hearing none. Okay, we'll move right along. 2.0 is the Treasurer's Budget and Finance Review. Dr. Rock, do you want to speak on any of that that's coming up for the 26th meeting?
Actually, what we're gonna have is the facilities update with GPD and the academic shared partnership agreement in conjunction with Mr. Jolly also.
Okay, all right. Next on our board agenda is 3 strategic plan. Today we have before us the GDP group. It was a group selected by our facilities actual committee along with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. They're here to give an update. We have the design team of the architect and engineering, Rodwell King, and we have Mark Solopek. The floor is yours, Rodwell and Mark. Oh, we have Asia Shine. I'm sorry, Asia. I forgot about you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So just a brief update on where we're at the moment. We've been having a whole lot of meetings. So far we've discussed with Media Center, art, bus drivers, custodial, teaching grades 4 through 5 at Eastwood, teaching grades pre-K through 1 at John Dewey, and music. This week and next week, we've got administration, food service, and special aid at Eastwood. That's tomorrow. We have administration, food service, and special aid at John Dewey on Wednesday. PE for all schools on the 19th. Teaching grades 2 through 3 at Westwood on the 21st. And administration, food service, and special aid at Westwood on the 22nd. We've been getting very good feedback from the meetings. We've had some good participation and some not so good participation, but that's how things roll. I think once, we have been sending out meeting minutes that of all the meetings, and I think once those who didn't attend get to see those, I think they'll realize that we're actually doing a lot of work, and there's a lot of enthusiasm and excitement for this project. I can guarantee that. We have also had some community meetings, so that's another good thing.
Mark, any input on what we actually discussed today or anything as far as?
Yeah, for all the board members, we had an organizational meeting today, which I thought went very well. I mean, that included Ray, the administrative team, ourselves, and the construction manager, Infinity, and Steve Zanoni, the owner's agent. The one nice thing that I heard that he said that I would pick out to you is that he said he feels a lot of trust between all of the team members. And when you have a lot of trust between the team members, that means a good project, because we're going to go down a good path. We want to move forward. We want to make sure that this is the best project for the district. I've been to a lot of the meetings that we've had. I think the one good thing we stress too, if you look at the meeting schedule that we've put online, we get all the teachers together for one meeting. I believe we had that scheduled for like every 2 weeks. And then we have our private meetings with some of the groups. Rob will mention them. And then we'll come back and report to the entire group. So I think that's very important, so everybody hears all of the information. This might be a little boring time for the community because we're talking about just the spaces that will be in the building. But it's exciting for all of us because we're getting a good understanding of where you need to be. And we want this to be the building that fits your district the best. And talking to everybody, your community is very, very distinct. And there's some things that we believe you need. We talked with Ray and Donald today, and we believe 21st century learning. You're talking about that. And we think that's a great way to go, and we want to push the district forward. So we believe we're on a good path. We talked today, this is programming. At the end of programming, probably we talked about at the end of March, we'll have a program and we'll come back to you and talk to you about what the spaces need to be in the building. And then after that, which I believe a lot more people will get excited, we're going to start doing floor plans and elevations and renderings. And we're hoping that we have the renderings and elevations and floor plans done before teachers leave by June 1st.
Oh, okay.
So it's an exciting part to get involved in because this is what the building's going to look like. So I encourage everybody to get involved. Your business manager is encouraging everybody to get involved. This is the time to tell us what you want because we don't want to take steps back. So talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, let everybody know. Come out to these meetings now. I believe they're all on your website and they're very important. I don't care if you're a community member or who you are. If it's a teachers meeting, you can attend as well. And we're putting all the minutes out there on the website too. So if you see something in there that you're concerned with, please respond back to us.
Board, do you have any questions for Rodwell or Mark about the pre-K to 5 building?
I just have a comment.
Skater.
So I just want to make sure, and this is for the board, superintendent, and Mr. Freeman. Once we've done all of the community meetings, I think it's important for us as a board to meet and go back over everything that's been synthesized from the community to make sure that what they're asking for goes in line with our strategic plan. At the end of the day, we're the ones that have to approve it. So I just want to make sure that there's an opportunity for us as a board to go back over it. And I heard you say June 1st, you know, so at some point we'll need to, it's my recommendation that we schedule a meeting for the board, retreat, work session, whatever you want to call it, to go over the plans before the blueprints are made.
One thing about GPD, they give updates and they give great minutes and they give, and what they did last time, I don't know if you got a copy of it, but they give a copy of what they're trying to do. They're still at the starting phase of this. But yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all, to have weigh-in. But that's why they're meeting with all the educators, all the janitors, the security, meeting with all of Mr. Jolly's staff. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, they're the ones directing it along with.
Does anybody else feel as though we need to
I
have?
just have a comment.
Go
I'm
ahead.
with you. At the end of the day, the 5 of us have to be the one to make this decision. I am interested in the feedback so far that you have received from the community
Yeah.
and from the staff and students. I want to know that tonight. But when this is all wrapped up, as a.
You want to know it verbally?
He just said
Barbara, I'll
that he
send-
had some, no.
I'm just
he
asking.
said-
Minutes today.
Excuse me,
I'll
excuse
send them
me.
out today.
I'm speaking right now. He said he had information, positive or whatever the feedback
I
was.
just asked you a question. Did you want it verbally?
Yes, I want to hear what he has to say.
That's fine, that's fine. I thought you wanted papers.
No, I want to hear what he has to say, but then, as to Ms. Gator's point, at the end of the day, when all of this is done with all of the meetings, I agree. We need to come back together and hear it all and make the decision how we're going to make, because there's no point of doing all of this if we're not going to accept any of the buy-in that they're doing. So I agree with you.
One thing about it, the actual community meetings are open to all the board members, and they do come.
However, we work.
No, I got you.
So we-
I mean, but they come into our board meetings.
It doesn't matter, Mr.
I understand
Freeman.
that.
It
I
doesn't
And he
matter.
also said that he has been getting excellent feedback from the community. I also agree with Ms. Gator. At the end of the day, we need to know the community response before we vote on anything.
No doubt about
But
it.
he have given it.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could just,
Go right ahead.
when all the meetings are done, I think all we're asking is, can we have time where we can go through what's been said? The meetings are open to the community. Many of us have been attending, and they've been really good meetings. So if we can come back prior to completing the floor plan, and we can sit and have open discussion, and I know you guys will be back in front of us
Right.
throughout this process, giving us updates, just to give us a chance, because what everyone is saying is accurate. We do have the opportunity to discuss, give final feedback, ask final questions that we may not feel comfortable asking in that larger forum.
Right.
Especially if it's got some things that we need to know before we make that final decision. So in your planning, like you've mapped out all the meetings, can you map out a time frame where we can sit down as a board and have that discussion with you?
I've talked to Ray. The 3 of us and Tamisha will come to any board meeting that you want. We'll come to every one of them if you'd like us to, just to give you an update. And we also mentioned today at the meeting, I told Ray, before we go public with any plans or documents, We want you to see it first, okay? Because we don't want to show the public something that we can't build. Okay? So we'll make those decisions as a team, and we don't want to go out there public with anything that you don't like, because basically you're our boss, okay? So we'll do whatever you want. We'll come to any meetings you want. I only live 20 minutes down the road, so I can be here as many times as you want, okay? But we'll share that with you. This is a very important step. It's like when we build a building, this is building foundations right now. So you don't want your foundation to sink,
Right.
okay? Because we don't want to take steps back. We want to keep going forward. So you guys tell us when you want to meet with us, and we'll keep you involved in as much as you want. I mean, it's time consuming. I mean, you can see all the meetings that we've done.
Yeah.
So, but you tell us what you want involved with, and we'll do it. But nothing will go public until you guys see it first.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Okay, so can you just, I'm not asking for a whole page, just a synopsis
It'll be
of some of the
right.
things that you've heard, positive and negative, just
Actually, there's almost no negativity.
Wonderful.
Which is quite astounding.
what?
The only kind of negative thing that I heard was the teachers don't quite believe that it's going to happen,
Okay,
Okay.
you know? And once you get over that hurdle, they are so enthusiastic because it's really going to turn the district around. And those teachers are right with you in turning the district around, because they, you know, they've not had much up until now. And they see it as a wonderful opportunity. And I can tell you some of the things that they are suggesting, I've never heard of before, but there's no reason why we can't think about them.
okay.
I mean, it's really, they are thinking out of the box, which is wonderful for us. It helps us. You know, we work in so many different districts, and some of the feedback or the participation by the teachers is so minimal that we feel like we're in a vacuum, but not in this district. I got to commend all your teachers for the enthusiasm that they're putting towards the project, and your bus drivers and the custodians. And I'm sure the staff that we have still to meet will also be there.
Wonderful. What about the community? What have you heard from them? What has been their thoughts?
They have also been very positive. There's a couple of people from the community who have very positive thoughts, and they kind of are the ringleaders, as it were. And you know, there's been almost no naysaying either from
Okay.
them. We have very positive comments. You know, one gentleman the other night asked about carpet, because carpet sometimes gets all germy. And so we're able to have a good conversation about those sort of things. So it's been a very nice exercise. You know, the other night we went well over an hour meeting with the community. Eventually I had to say, hey, don't you want to go home? I'm happy to be here for as long as you want, but hey, I'm respectful of people's time.
The other big thing is they want to make sure this goes well.
Right.
Yeah, this needs to go well.
To the seniors.
And then, obviously, in the environment that we're in, they want to make sure that the buildings will be safe. Whatever we have to do, it'll be safe for everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Rodwell. Thank you, Mark. I
Hey, Ray,
appreciate it.
invite us back anytime you want.
Yep. Oh, you will be. Thank you so much. Next on our board agenda is 3.2, academics shared partnership with East Cleveland City School District and Maple Heights City School District. Superintendent Jolly, would you want to speak?
Yes, I'm requesting the board's approval of a partnership with East Cleveland and Maple Heights to hire a lobbyist. Contrary to what's being said in community that we're paying $40,000 a month, it's a shared partnership that's $10,000 a month that's being broken up into 3 districts. East Cleveland is playing a third, Warrensville is playing a third, and Maple Heights is playing a third. The strategy, these lobbyists are shooting for an opportunity to get a hold on the House Bill 70. The goal is to get a moratorium for 1 year on House Bill 70. all three boards tonight is this agreement is being, all three boards tonight is up for all three boards to approve. This is very time sensitive. We are trying to get in front of legislators in April and May. The board would be very instrumental, all three boards instrumental in this process of possibly speaking in front of the state legislators, letter writing campaigns and so forth. So I'm asking for board's approval to move forward with a lobbyist to help in partnership with 3 other districts.
Are there any questions for Superintendent Jolly pertaining to the partnership with the other 2 districts to actually hire a lobbyist firm to speak on our behalf about House Bill 70, which the other 2 districts are part of that?
I have several questions.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so, I guess I'm looking for some clarity here. The first one would be, I'm a little confused as to why we're hiring a lobbyist when we pay a membership fee to OSBA, BASA, and OASBO for that's their job to do that, in addition to NSBA. And I say that because, as you all know, I was just in Washington advocating for our school district on Capitol Hill with Sherrod Brown, Rob Portman, and Marshall Fudge, along with many other Ohio school districts. So I'm a little confused as to why we will spend additional monies when they're doing the exact same thing. That's my first part of that. Because then I would like to know, what are they going to do differently that these other people, these other groups that we're already paying are not doing?
Can I answer?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so all of those organizations have knew about this law for 2 years and have done nothing, absolutely nothing. They just starting to pick up, but no one has lobbied anybody. This hiring of this lobbyist is particular to us. They will have our best interests and look after the 3 districts that are affected. Those other organizations all knew about the law, have done absolutely nothing. They have a meeting on March 20th that we'll be attending, but it's nothing specific. We do pay dues into those organizations, but at this point, the law's been enacted for 2 years and nothing's been done. So our request is that we hire someone who works for us that will take this charge, particularly to our districts, and try to get something done. So that's the reason why we've reached out to BASA. They did nothing. They talked to OSBA. They've done nothing. So what do? We wait and have this meeting and nothing happens, or do we move forward in a time-sensitive way and try to get something done?
Okay, so what is the goal that you're hoping that they're going to accomplish?
The goal is to get a moratorium placed on House Bill 20 for 1 year. House Bill 70, sorry, for 1 year.
And if I could add to that too.
Excuse me, wait a minute, wait one
Go ahead.
second. I need to finish before you do any of that.
Okay, come on.
Okay, so, let me say this. For the last 2 years, I've been going to Washington, and they were there advocating for the districts that are in distress. So, I don't think,
An Ohio legislator, Ms. Elba. Nothing's been done in Ohio legislature. Nothing's been done. Nothing's been done.
I'm asking questions, I need clarity.
Well,
Okay,
I am.
so,
I'm giving-
but I can say that I've been there for the last 2 years, and they were doing something when we met. Now, this 70 has been into effect since 2010, and
2015.
2015,
It's-
Youngstown plan.
October 2015.
well, it actually was in effect before then. It actually was in effect when Governor Kasich took office. It was just slid in, and it did not become the big thing until Youngstown was taken. Right. So it's been around for a minute, but that's just my question. Now, my other question is, what type of connections does this company have with the Republican side? Because we've all been attending different meetings, whether it's Youngstown, Lorraine, East Cleveland, Maple, whatever the case may be. And the last one that some of us went to was in Youngstown. Mr. Schilling stood up, and who is a liaison for DC, and stated that based on the Republican government that we have, nothing was going to be overturned. He did recommend that we work on other avenues, so I'm just needed to know that whole aspect of that.
Yeah, so in doing our background research, they do believe they have interest from Republican lawmakers to entertain holding hearings on the bill. So with that, that's why we brought it to the board, all three superintendents, because we believe if we can get interest and we provide them with an alternative, which was said from the lobbyists to the company that we're seeking, that there's a possibility a moratorium could be made on the law. Based on, though, we have to have an alternative, so we have to have a plan. We can't just say we want a moratorium without a plan, but we have a plan. So that's what we are working on, a plan that we'll be able to present to the board relatively soon. That will be our alternative, almost like the Youngstown plan, for growth. So our goal is to get a moratorium. They believe that they have the ear of some lawmakers to get some hearings, and with the hearings, possibly we could get that. It's not 100%, but it's an effort. We have tried to exhaust those other avenues that you discussed, but it's real time sensitive. We don't have enough time to wait on them to do it because we're not paying them. They're not looking out just for us. They're looking out for the whole state. And we have unique needs that the whole state doesn't.
Okay, so do you know of, as far as their credibility, and what have they actually lobbied for that has proven successful to say that this was the one that was chosen?
I can bring back the information. This is a group, though, that the first ring superintendent is working with. So we had a relationship with them, and we just expanded that. So I can bring back research on who they've represented or what lobbying efforts, but the first ring is using them for a similar situation. So we bought them. We continue to use them for this.
Because I did have the opportunity to speak with other board members from East Cleveland and Maple, and one of the board members did state that they knew of the company. They have a lawyer friend that the company is reputable. They just did not know what they had done as far as lobbying to be successful.
Yes, I will get some information and bring it back.
Okay. My other question is, was there ever a consideration to become part of the Youngstown lawsuit instead of going with this lobbyist?
Oh, no, there has not been any. We have no contact with Youngstown or any of the leadership with the lawsuit. So, no, we have not had any conversations with Youngstown at all.
Okay. Board, I'm going to forward you some information. Brenda Kimball is going to forward me some information. I guess they have a lawsuit since they realized that House Bill 70 is not going to be overturned. So they were going to go another route. So I'm just going to forward it to you. You can read it, do whatever you choose to do with it. But I'm going to forward it to you. So my final question is, you said that they have a relationship with the Republicans or the Democrats?
The Republicans, from my understanding.
Do you know which ones?
I don't.
Okay.
There will be bi-weekly updates, though. Those updates, we will offer any board member to be part of those calls. So I'll put it out when the calls come, and then we will open it up for whoever wants to listen.
Now, did they provide?
I thought you were done.
Well, I just got one more. I just thought so. If this is a decision that is passed, is there a plan that they have in place of what they're going to do on a monthly basis? So,
I want to understand your question.
okay, if Mr. Freeman will be quiet, I can let you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a plan that they will have of what they're going to do for March, for April, for May? So as a board, we know if they're on track, if this is going to go anywhere, if it's not going to go anywhere, exactly what are they going to do for this type of money?
So, in the proposal, it does have a strategy in their proposal. I will ask them for a timeline of what to do. Again, this is uncharted waters for us, our district. Have you ever had a lobbyist before? I'm just curious. So, you have any outline of what they provided the board so that I can have a guideline of what to expect?
I can just provide, I don't have it with me. This is
Oh, if you just
this is
email
stuff
it.
that I received when I was in DC from the Advocacy Institute.
Okay.
Which I would strongly encourage this board next year to attend. but I will forward you information that I have.
Okay, because I would like to, this is uncharted waters, and I'd just like a guide to ask. But I will ask them what their timelines are. I think the proposal does lay out some of the timeline, but I will ask them for something more formal. But again, I do ask for the board's support. We need someone to look after our best interests and not the state's. So that's why we brought this proposal to you.
And that's what I wanted to add. Mr. Jolly and I had this discussion in my career. I was at a district that hired a lobbyist, and what it is, and this was when the TPP, remember the TPP tax? There were districts that were greatly impacted by it. There was about 20 of them. They joined up together and they hired 2 lobbyists, and those lobbyists, all they worked on was just TPPT for those services. So that's exactly what Mr. Jolly was saying. This lobbyist, this agreement that's all they're going to work on for us. That's all we're paying for. Otherwise, when you have the big groups, they're representing all of the state of Ohio. So it's one issue particular to the district. So we're joining up with 2 other districts that have the same issue, and we're both experiencing the same impact, similar situation. So that's why we're getting together with the other districts. And I've seen this done before, and it worked on the TPPT group. I was in that group. I was reaching out to Warrensville to get you to join, and Warrensville didn't join for I don't know what reason. Some districts joined, some didn't. But through the fruits of the labor of that lobbying group, I don't know if you remember, so many years ago, the TPPT was declined, it was slowed down on the phase out. So we had impact, and it helped. It helped to the extent to where it would have ended in 2012, and now we're still getting a little bit of the payments. Even though it's ending for us, we're on the list of the districts that had impact on it. But so it does work. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say because I lived through it and it's a hard decision. In fact, at that one with those districts at the beginning, it was a lot larger than $3,000 or $4,000, $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and the districts were really putting out some money to band together to do it. But they had 2 lobbyists, and they was continuous. I happened to be the treasurer on that. It was like a council of governments that they put together. So I've seen it work successfully. And I had that discussion with Mr. Jolly. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, and I'll just say, I know everyone here knows the impact of House Bill 70. My interest in it, in defeating it in our district, has nothing to do with me personally as a professional. It has all to do with the community and our kids and our tax dollars and all those things. So I just want to share that. It's if any confusion, think I'm trying to say the district for myself. It has nothing to do with me. I will be fine. It has all to do with the community, the students. Look at the impact in Lorraine. I went to Lorraine. I was at the meeting. I saw the division in the community. I saw the anger in the community. I saw it. I was there. I saw how it was. I mean, you guys went to Youngstown. You see how it is, the despair. There's no reason for our community to go through that. And all my efforts is for the community, for the students, for the senior citizens, to ensure that our community stays intact and controls its own destiny and does not allow others to come in and control the destiny. So I just want to, put that as a matter of the record, because if anybody think I'm in this for me, it's nothing to do with me. It has all to do with the legacy of this community and ensuring that this community remains in control of its destiny and not allow others to control it. Because there's a lot of fiscal impact that this, both districts, a lot of spending going on. The board doesn't approve it. A lot of things. We have a building project, major building project, that this community can lose control over, that we don't want. So I want to just put that in public record, that this is about the community, all about the community, and trying to do everything in our power. Of course, we're working harder. We have a teacher here. They're working hard every day to make sure our kids are successful on the exam. But we also have to do something about an unfair law. It's just unfair. It's not right. So sometimes you have to step up and battle things that's not right. And I think our 3 districts are at the forefront of this right now, of this battle, and we are trying to enlist others. On Friday, we had a meeting with 14 other districts to try to be part of this too. Because if you look at the report cards, which are here, the board has, they all look almost the same. So these people are on their way, regardless of what part of the state, they're on their way to House Bill 72.
Mr. Chair, if I can have the floor for a moment.
Vice President, the floor is yours.
I just wanted to share with the board, I've not worked with lobbyists directly, but my company does, being in financial services. I know you guys have heard of PACs. Basically, what we're forming is a PAC. We're forming a PAC with 2 other districts, to Dr. Rock's point, that have the same opportunity to potentially, if we can get a moratorium, come out of this on the other side successfully. And the lobbyists are dedicated to our cause. They fight our battle specifically, and that's all they focus on. They do develop a strategy. They will come back and share that strategy with Mr. Jolly, and then that will be presented to us with the plans, the tactics, how they're going to execute, and they'll give us a timeline. If you read, and I'm not saying you haven't read, but in the scope of services, they definitely speak about developing an attainable strategy. So once we say yes to this tonight, if we say yes, then they will begin putting forth what that plan is, bringing it back to Mr. Jolly and the other superintendents, and that will be shared with us across the board. I guess, Mr. Jolly, my only final question or comment would be, the other 2 districts, they are in support of this as well?
Yes, they are. All 3 have board meetings tonight, and all 3 are requesting a vote tonight on this measure. I understand the board does not want to vote at this meeting, but we brought this to the table because of the importance and the timeliness of the measure.
Is there any other questions for Superintendent Jolly about this item on our agenda?
No question, just to comment to something that Member Elba mentioned earlier. I know you mentioned, that we should be going out to OSBA and NSBA because we're paying them. So just so you know, I've been talking and emailing OSBA, and I've been saying, hey, House Bill 70 is real for us. What are you guys going to do? And they have done absolutely nothing until recently, because I sent them another email early January and February and said, what are you guys going to do? So that's when they sent the email out to everybody, and we've got the meeting coming up March 20th. So it's taken a lot of pushing to get them involved. I reached out to CUBE as well as NSBA, and NSBA's take was, we don't want to step on the state association.
That's right.
We want to know what they're doing. So they're kind of hands off, and they're leaving it up to OSBA. So, I have never worked with a lobbyist. I don't know exactly what to expect. I'm going to put it out there. I hope that they can help us, but I just want to let you guys know that what they're fighting is it's going to be a difficult battle. We are literally voting, when the time comes, on a wing and a prayer. We're hoping that they're going to be able to help us, but there's no guarantees.
I have a question though for you.
Sure.
Who did you speak to down there? Because in case anybody doesn't know.
Sorry, down where?
In OSBA.
Rick Lewis, I've been contacting Rick Lewis and Jennifer Hogue. That's who
Okay.
I've been emailing.
Okay, so in case, for everybody's future point, our liaisons, our lobbyists / liaisons are Jay Smith, Will, and Jennifer.
I've been going
So,
straight to the top.
so, no, I'm
Rick Lewis
just
and
saying,
Jennifer.
well, no, I know Rick is the top, but I'm just saying for just future, they are our lobbyists. They are the ones that went with us to DC. They're the ones that sent out the emails. I don't know if you guys got the latest email from Jay or not.
Yep.
Well, I know the one Terry sent, but the one from Jay, I don't know if you guys received that or not. But just putting out there, I don't know what, other than that. From my understanding, when I had a conversation with Jay last week, he said that they have been fighting this since it was kind of slipped under the rug. He said it's just, they'll become really big now because more and more school districts are at the point where there's a possible takeover. But it's always been something done. It was just unfortunate that with our current administration, it just kind of fell through the cracks and slipped under the rug.
Tracy and I both bent Rick Lewis's ear at Capitol Conference and put it out there, look, you guys got to do something. So a lobbyist is kind of like a last-ditch effort for us. Again, I don't know that they're going to be able to penetrate the different, parties that they need to, but let me just also say this. As a board, we have to be reaching out to legislators as well. We've got to start making connections. I spoke to Kent Smith, House Representative, from the Euclid area. Dennis Kucinich has said that he would support us. I know we've had conversations, Mr. Jolly has with Marcia Fudge. So we all have to be out there really bending these legislators' ears and telling them they need to support us. Otherwise, public education that we know is gonna be gone.
So, when we were in DC, even I went to a workshop on Friday on advocacy. What they recommended was not only the board, but you get your community, your students involved. And how they recommended that you do it is a handwritten letter, not an email.
They said
But they
handwritten.
wanted to, if they get enough handwritten letters, then they will acknowledge it. Because they figure, one, that you took the time to actually handwrite something, you took the time to actually send it to them. And then you follow up, you know, like they always tell you, in a couple of days, say, hey, I just want to make sure you got my letter. Can we set up a time to meet? Yada, yada, yada. Now, I do have Sherrod Brown, Rob Portman, and Marcia Fudge's aides, if anybody's interested in that, where you can possibly email them regarding this or write the letter or however you guys want to do it to reach out. But I think that it's something that needs to come from everybody and not just one or two people.
I agree.
And we need to start, what they recommended, which I agree with, you start with your students, because they're the biggest impact. I mean, some people like to start with the community. Yes, they're the taxpayers, but at the end of the day, it's all about the kids. And so if you start with your students writing letters and affecting, saying how they are looking for an education and yada, whatever, then that may help better.
One final thing, and I know Mr. Freeman wants to move on. Part of what the lobbyist is gonna do is engage us and the community. So all of what you just mentioned is part of what they're gonna be doing. I read that in the contract. So as a board, we need to have more opportunities to have more discussions about how we can be engaged with the lobbyists, Mr. Jolly. So, and I know that that's something that Galen and them are working on, so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I just have one input. I've worked with 4 lobbyists, and all 4 of them worked. I was the leader in mortgage financing in the early 90s. We had 2 lobbyists, and we had a lot of bills changed throughout the 50 states of America. And those 2 lobbyists politic with Republicans and Democrats, and it allowed us to get in the mortgage crisis that we got in 2008. So as far as working with lobbyists, do they work? 100%. We were able to do lending just free willy. I mean, almost like President Trump, trying to bring back now. So do they work? Yeah, they work. They talk to whoever they talk to in Washington. But we were allowed to go another 10 years of doing unsupervised mortgage financing. So they work. NSBA, we do have lobbyists. Tom Gensel does not want to get involved in the state by state. Will he help Rick Lewis? I talk to Rick Lewis every single month. Yes, he will give him advice. He would tell him what to do. And Rick's taking the lead, and I do commend Ms. Gator for all of her communications, because it's a small world in this public education. So anything that goes out, if it comes from this district, it always comes to somebody. If Michelle will know it, I'll know it, Tracy will know it, Mr. Jolly will know it. So like Ms. Elba said, we all do need to get out there, but it's impacting Warrensville. And if Mr. Jolly, our superintendent, along with these other 2 superintendents, Charlie Keaton and Dr. Corley, is part of this, I'm for it. So, but yeah, lobbyists do work, and I have worked with them. So,
One final thing,
Go
Dr.
ahead.
Rock, I need all my questions to be in the minutes. I need every last one of my questions to be in the minutes.
that's under his discretion.
No, that is a board request. It's not a discretion. It's a
It's
request.
one board member's request.
It doesn't matter. They're
Oh,
my
okay.
questions.
Okay,
They're my
gotcha.
questions, and
Dr.
I
Rock,
want
do it
my
the way you
questions in the minutes.
Phil.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, I would like to take, excuse me, any other questions before I make a motion?
No.
I just have one.
Go right ahead, Ms. Newman. You make me smile.
You know, we can all get into the negative,
Thank you.
but I really want to focus on the positive. The lobbyists, what Mr. Jolly has done is fantastic. Do we sit back and sit on our hands and just let things happen to us? No, we're not. Thanks to Ms. Gator, Michelle, all of us, it's a team effort.
Exactly.
We are fighting. We are fighting for our community. We are fighting for our children. And it's not one person. It's all of us.
Thank you.
It's the seniors. I talk to the seniors because we need them as well. But we can't sit here and point fingers and say, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. As long as we work as a team, if Ms. Mitchell wants to reach out, please do. The same thing for you. I don't want to do stuff for show. I want to do stuff because I'm sincerely fighting for a community that is so important to all of us. And that's what we have to focus on. Marge Fudge, they can promise us, she can promise.
You're right.
Action speaks louder
totally agree.
than words.
Politicians in general, I
Right.
I totally agree.
Action. Do I have the trust in Kasich? No. Do I have the trust in Mr. Jolly? Yes, I do, because I believe he sincerely wants the best for this community. And that's what we're fighting for, all of us.
Thank you, Ms. Mumin. At this time, I do need a motion for 3.2 on our board agenda, academics shared partnership with East Cleveland City School District and Maple Heights City School District, not exceeding $20,000. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that this board approve item 3.2, academic shared partnership with East Cleveland City School District and Maple Heights City School District, and the dollar amount should not exceed $20,000.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Vice President Mitchell, second by Board Member Newman. Any other questions? Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, you move really fast. So Mr. Jolly, this was something that I had mentioned to you. It says here, beginning March 1st. Will they prorate?
Yes, it will be prorated, yes.
All right, thank you. So just so the board understands, it says starting March 1st through June 30th.
Yes, it'll be prorated starting tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin?
Yes.
Mrs. Elba?
I'm gonna say no because of the reasons that I mentioned earlier, that we already have legislators out here, and so that's why I need my things to be on the record.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes, motion carries 4-1. Next on our board agenda is our actual board work session. We have today Joe Siegfried from Neola. George. Joe will come up and go over volume 36, number 2, the newest policy that came out. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Nice to be here again.
Thank you.
Volume 36, number 2. Review for you that this update contains 7 revisions to current policies, and all 7 reflect the current state of the law with their changes, starting with 4121, criminal history record check. And again, that policy change reflects the current state of the law as far as federal and state regulations as it relates to background checks and with bus drivers. Policy 4162, drug and alcohol testing of CDL license holders and other employees.
It's on here.
I'm sorry, hold on, what are we missing?
They wanted a policy, it's on there, if you click
I
on it.
didn't bring my computer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you happen to have a hard copy with you?
I think I do. Hang on a sec. I got all this.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's what
All right, I have hard copy.
I normally bring
of
it. I
the
just did.
policies. One sec.
If I need to make some more.
No, I might have one in the car.
I might have, wait a second.
I gave y'all one last.
Yeah, I can share.
You gave us one last time?
Mm-hmm.
It's in your package. That's one. There it
Here
is.
it is, somebody can use this.
Here you go.
We good. We good, we gonna share.
We good.
I'm sorry, Joe.
All right. Policy 4162, drug and alcohol testing of CDL license holders and other employees who perform safety-sensitive function. Revisions of this policy are based on the current federal regulations, effective January 2018. Key changes specifies with substance conflict must be tested. And again, the revisions to this policy reflect current law and should be adopted to keep your policies accurate. Policy 5111, eligibility of resident and non-resident students, and policy 5112, entrance requirements, are both revisions. And the revisions to these policies reflect federal regulations about enrollment procedures and requirements. Communication notification requirements are detailed, and the alternate documents that can be verified, age and residency, have been identified in your policy that you have before you. Okay, continuing. Policy 8400, school safety revised. Revisions are based upon updates to the Ohio Administrative Code, adding requirements to the emergency management plan, and modifying some of the reporting requirements. And again, these revisions reflect current state of the law and should be adopted in order to keep your EMP and all your school safety policies current. 8600.04, bus driver certification. This is a revision. A recent change in the law adds to the definition any violation of a state law, county ordinance, or township resolution that prohibits texting or using a handheld mobile telephone while driving a commercial vehicle. And again, this is imperative for your bus driver certification. And again, it aligns with the current federal and state law. And then the Business Advisory Committee, which is 9141. This is a revision, and it reflects the requirements of amended substitute House Bill 49 and the standards for operation developed by the Superintendent of Public Instruction in consultation with the Governor's Executive Workforce Board. And this policy, as revised, provides the authorization, options, and guidance for the district's Business Advisory Council.
Before we continue, I just have a question, and this is for Mr. Jolly, not for you. Thank you. Any plans to get a Business Advisory Council?
Yes,
Do we
yes,
have-
we have to have that by June 30th.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we'll touch base with you before that. Thank you.
Okay, and then the other part of the update, let me get this for you. And that was Tech Phase 4, which was part of this update. There were four policies dealing with technology policy. And what we're trying to do at Neola is just to help clean all that up and try to fine tune areas such as Policy 7530, the lending of board-owned equipment, Policy 753002, staff use of personal communication devices, Policy 7542, access to district technology resources and/or information resources from personal communication devices. And those were the four that we, and the fifth one, Policies 7543, utilization of district website and remote access to the district network. And again, I'm trying to help districts out by streamlining those policies, knowing how much we're all involved with technology today. So those are the policy changes for 36 Volume 2. And then it was also brought to my attention that from Volume 36, Number 1, the amenities for participants at meetings and or other occasions, and Policy 6680, recognition, you did share those policies, our templates, with your legal counsel.
Correct.
And through discussion, have chosen option 1 for both of those policies.
Correct.
So when those are submitted to us from Warrensville, we'll make sure that option 1 is marked in when we return those back to you, and they're uploaded to the website. So when people see it, it will show that the option that you've selected as a board is there.
Okay. Or do you have any questions for Joe on any of those policies in 36-2 or the two that we will make a decision on tonight?
We have some questions.
Sure.
We have questions regarding the non-resident students, the eligibility. When, is all of this part of the state, or is this something geared towards each district? Because I've never heard of letter F, letter G, where it states that an employee can bring their kid here into the district. I don't recall ever voting on that. Did you, I know in my both years I was here, we never voted on that.
That is in the,
Neola, I apologize. Mr. Chairman.
no, that's in the policy though, I don't know.
No, and that's why I'm asking, because that, we've never put that in the policy.
Not
So
an
I was
open
asking Ms.
enrollment.
Gator if, when she.
Yes,
Oh.
it was in the policy when we brought Neola over, so in 2013, 2014, whenever the board brought it over, that's when it went into effect.
Okay.
So yes, to answer your question,
Okay, and what was the rationale for adding that?
can't remember that.
Okay, 'cause
that was
I'm
when I
personally-
first got on the board.
I'm personally not in favor of that. And then my other question is this is something that you
Hold on,
guys,
Can I ask you,
Yes.
I'd like you to expand on that. So the thing is that employees can bring their children to the district?
Mhm.
And you're not in favor of that?
well, here's the thing, the reason I say that. Back in the day, we had several staff who had kids who attended here because it was a matter of convenience for them.
Okay.
The staff were told either to withdraw the children or they could not be no longer employed. So that's why I was asking from 2011 when I got off and 2013 when you got on, what changed and what transpired for that to happen? Because if we are constantly talking about making sure that our kids live here in the district, now you have people from all over, so I'm just asking.
I get it, but I think that, in my opinion, we're advocating for our employees too, though. It makes
Oh,
it
no,
more
no.
convenient for the employees.
Right.
And it helps us as a district as far as enrollment to allow those students. It shows that as a teacher, I trust this district because, and I'm bringing my child here. Just like when I got back on the board, because, as you know, my son was going to Chanel and the other schools just like your kids were. As a school board member, I'm trusting to bring my child back because I think that we're doing the right thing. So that's kind of where I think the rationale
And
is
then you
coming
have to
from.
think of it. If I'm a parent and I'm working in Warrensville, but I live in Twinsburg, and there's an issue with my child, I would rather for my child to be near me than 30 or 40 miles away. So I think that's what that kind of geared to,
Okay.
because even though, we, as a parent, we just don't stop being a parent because we working someplace else. And it's a protection issue, it's a safety issue, and it's a parent issue.
So my other question for you, Ms. Gator, is if a parent does not intend to reside in the district, the child may attend the school as a tuition student only. When did that ever happen? I never recall that ever being voted on, that this was a pay for district.
Maybe you weren't at the meeting when they voted on the Neola stuff. I don't know.
Well, I'm only asking you because you were here
I was here, but you have to remember, that was when I first got on the board. A lot of this stuff was new and overwhelming to me. And when I first got on the board is when we had just switched over from OSBA to Neola. So a lot of that stuff was already in the works. They had already did the legwork, and it was just a matter of switching everything over.
So, and I guess my question is, and it's not just so much for you, but I'm just asking the question. If we're just taking anybody off the street to be part of the district, what's the whole point of having a pupil personnel that's going to monitor it? Because you're not monitoring anything because anybody can come. And I didn't know that Warrensville had become an open enrollment district, because the last I heard, it was not an open enrollment district. So I'm just trying to figure out, when did all of this come about that nobody's ever said anything? And is that why when I constantly ask about all of these kids that I know that don't live in Warrensville but attend here, nothing is ever done? So I'm just wondering if that's what.
I want to disagree about nothing's not done. Mr. Alexander actually met with him today. He's actively chasing kids every day. So it's something done. Kids are being withdrew. I don't know if they got to the ones you're looking at. We do not have open enrollment. I think only about 2 teachers ever used sent their kid here.
Well, no,
Only
no.
2.
Okay.
Only
so-
2 I've known since I've been here.
Okay.
And for various reasons, they bought their kid. But it's only been 2, hasn't been abused at all. And again, Mr. Alexander is cleaning up not having a truancy officer chasing people for years. So it takes time, and he's
I don't
working
have a
on it.
problem with the truancy officer. It's just that we're contradicting ourselves. We hire a truancy officer to say, Ms. Moomin, you don't live here, you gotta go. But our policies say different.
Our policy says that if you are an
Employee.
No. No, this is something different.
talking about tuition.
If the parent does not
Oh,
intend to reside in the district, the child may attend school as a tuition student only. So it's almost a contradiction.
I get what you're saying, so
Okay.
so the question is.
They withdraw.
If we want our teachers, if we want our employees to be able to bring their students to the district.
Something different,
then
Ms.
it's is it a wording thing?
No, that's different.
No, I
that's
think her-
different.
I
This-
understand what
What
she-
you're saying is the teacher thing. I'm done with that one. This one is strictly parent.
So she's saying if a student
But we do have
moves to
athletes,
Shaker or
right.
something, if a student moves to Shaker and they want to stay in Warrensville, that they have to pay tuition. I'm not aware of any of those cases occurring. They are withdrawing and going to the next district. We have a situation today. I saw Ms. Rudolph is dealing with someone in the gifted program that want to stay, and she advised them that they have to live in the city in order to go to the school district. So that's I understand that. We could clean that up a little
It's a
bit.
contradiction.
So they either need to live in the district, yeah.
Go ahead.
What you have in front of you is a template.
Okay,
All right, we can-
okay, so, and that's what I needed to know. Thank you, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, we
No,
can
no,
fix
thank
it.
you, because that's why I was asking if this was a
Thanks, Jeff.
Warrensville
Wait.
thing or whatever, and that's why I was asking. Okay,
You all designed your policy
okay.
from that.
But that's
so
what
this
the
is not a
policy is
Warrensville
now.
thing.
But that's
Okay.
what the policy is now. I don't think it's been changed.
I don't have my big folk, is at the house.
Okay,
Okay, nothing had changed.
well,
Right,
no, because
that's-
Mr. Jolly is saying that this is currently what's in the policy, even though he's saying that this is a template. So if this is in our policy, then it's a contradiction.
But the question
I
would be,
can't, my
the
iPad.
question would be, Mr.
not
Jolly, do we have anybody that's falling up under that category right
We don't. No one's paying tuition, but we can adjust it to it's very clear of what the expectation is. We haven't charged anybody tuition, so we can clean it up so it fits what the board wants it to say.
So do we want to table this one? And, I mean, this is like our first reading.
Correct.
Yeah, we can bring it back.
Clean it up and then bring it back to make sure that everyone's mind's clear on it.
We'll clean it up and send it out to the board to review this week.
Okay, thank you.
If it would be helpful, I could send a set of an update to every, I'll send it
Okay.
to Mr. Jolly.
Hard copy?
We'll forward it out.
The update's still through 4,000. They don't-
That's fine.
they used to
Wait, I ain't done with this. I'm trying to look through this.
The updates
Update
used
you
to
send
be
board docs.
4,000.
Right.
Okay.
If you send it, I'll just send it out to
Mr.
everybody.
Jolly then.
Yeah, I'll print yours up, bring it to you. I can have them tomorrow for you.
All right, so I apologize.
Okay.
I do have a question for you, Superintendent Jolly. I know sometimes we have athletes that go to another school. How are we handling that part? Like if we have an athlete go to another, but they play sports here?
So under that charter school law that exists, students who they can play for their home school. So like kids go to Ginn Academy or different
Oh, that's
places.
right.
Always can play for their home school, whatever home district they're in. They
Okay.
can participate in sports. So even some of the charter schools, if they don't have sports, if they wanted their kid to participate here, they could.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The nice thing too about the board docs, so you have let's say, the next version posted. You
See?
can also bring up
Say right here, we got open
current
enrollment.
policy that matches the one that's we're presenting for change. And you can see what's actually in it, and then what's
The different changes. yeah.
So we're gonna actually bring this back, and this is just your template okay, so this is,
Again, to restate, what's in the bold on that template is what was changed through the legislation.
right, okay, yeah, no, I get that, I'm just talking about the things that's not bolded, like I'm looking at it saying that right now our district is an open enrollment school, so I just need to,
We'll fix all that and send it to you. We'll fix it.
okay.
Look at Jay.
I'll send our current policy in that, and then we'll have you, I'll make it so you look at both.
fact that they're looking at
that
probably,
originally came up,
Mhm.
the district went through it. No, we're not gonna do what the board decides, we're not gonna do open enrollment.
Yeah, I know the open
Because to my
enrollment,
knowledge,
it's
we
not
never
in our
went over it.
policy. I know that's not in our current policy.
They don't have.
But we'll send both. I'll send out the current policy and the new policy.
So
Or the
these-
new
but
recom-
what
the
he's saying is that
template.
these are not policies, these are just his templates. These are not our
Right.
policies, these are
Yeah,
just
you gotta
his-
look at our
his-
actual policy.
So,
So we probably, whoever did that policy in the past, probably made the adjustments to it. So we'll send the current policy to you so you can look at it.
Would
All right.
you have any questions for Joe about anything on 36.2?
I do not.
Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate you, man, always. Man. Thank you. Yeah.
no, but I do have another question, and this is really for the board. So, I don't know if anyone is aware, but if you ever have a senior who moves out of the district but wants to graduate from their Warrensville, from their home district, excuse me, sir, your policies,
Yeah, welcome to them.
that they have the option to come before the board to remain in the district and not be transferred out.
What policy does that pertain to, do you know?
5111, it's 5111.
5111?
Okay.
So I guess we all need to just kind of.
So I want to say, our policy has been, our procedure has been to let them stay.
This is the old.
Since I've been here, we just let them stay if they're a senior and move. We had a situation last year, a kid, mother died in the middle of the year. We let them stay. But if they need to come before the board, if the board wants them to come before them, but our procedure has been if a senior is here and they move, we allow them to graduate from the district.
So do we need to update the policy to reflect what our procedure is, or no? What's the overall thought on
Or is it case by case?
I mean, pretty much we let them, if they start the senior year here, things happen, we let them graduate from here.
Well, and they would only come to the board as if they were being asked to leave. But if he's allowing them to stay, then they really wouldn't need. So if Ms. Moomin was being asked to leave because she moved to wherever, and she's a senior, and if her parent was like, well, she's a senior, she's graduating, yada, 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 then she would come to the board. But if the school district is allowing Ms. Moomin to stay because she's a senior, then they don't have to come.
So I'm just thinking that in terms of being really transparent, and why wouldn't we want our policy to reflect what our procedure is?
Oh, I think it should.
If I want, and I'll take a look at it, and kind of review it some more, maybe we can discuss it.
I can't see a case where we'll kick somebody out if they're a senior. I can't see
I'm not
that.
seeing it in here.
All right, well, maybe we can approach this one again at a later date, but, I mean, it's not like we're having an issue with it at this point, so, okay. All right,
Okay.
mine's clear.
Thank you. Next on our board agenda is our board goal session. Due to death in the family, Vice President Mitchell cannot attend, so I did cancel our board goal meeting, which will be this Saturday at Tri-C. She need to know another date. I don't know if you guys have it in front of you now or what date you would like to select, but I can call Tri-C and set that up, or have Alicia call and set. They gave us the room for free, so.
I thought we had decided to go to the school board.
We did.
We did, the Board of Education, we were just gonna do it at the Board of Education.
She gave us, I thought y'all didn't get the memos from Alicia.
No.
She set it up the next day. She had already set it up. They gave it to us for free. It doesn't matter where you,
If they gave it to us for free.
they did. They didn't charge us nothing.
Okay, so we're looking at another date.
Correct. If we could do a Saturday, would be great.
Which one?
Any Saturday, I don't care. I mean, I'm available to
We're
whatever.
either looking at, what, the 24th?
You're not?
24th isn't good for me.
Okay.
I could do the following
I
weekend.
can't,
That's the 31st.
I can't do the 24th or
Maybe April?
I could do April, I'm out of town, both of them weekends.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, guys. April, we're getting into, we're going out of town. And again, this is my perspective on
Who's going out
this.
of town?
The board is going out of town.
Yeah, the first week in
So
April.
my perspective on this is, ODE came to us back in March. They said this is what we need to do, and granted, we got the report like June, July. We're now coming up on almost a year before we have finalized our goals. I know we want to do this on the weekend. We might need to just do it one day during the week rather than
So
to get it done.
If I can interject, we finalized the goals, we just have to
We have to
determine
build it.
how to put them
Right.
into action.
And that's what's
So,
important. In
yeah.
my mind, we've got to get an action plan going. So if everyone's pleasure is to do April, that's fine. I just want to put it out there that I think it's something we need to do sooner.
Yeah, but if you have a board member that can't make it, I understand. I mean, if she can't make it, I don't know, Ms.
We're
Miller.
limiting ourselves to Saturdays, though.
So
You can have anything.
if we
I
are,
said Saturday.
during the week, is there any day in particular? Tuesdays does not work for me, but I'm flexible on Wednesdays or Thursdays.
What about a Friday?
I'm still on Friday as long as we do it ahead of time.
I can't do.
Okay. So what about the? Okay,
It's the
22nd.
worst bullet ever.
I cannot do Thursdays, so we
What
can't
about
look
the-
at.
What about Wednesday, the 21st?
That's true.
I can't do the 21st.
You can't?
Okay.
The last 2 weeks of the month are very bad for me during the week.
Okay, so here's a question for you guys. What about this Thursday?
I cannot do.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we need to have time to do, well, we would have had time to do the notice, but, okay, so.
So.
Um,
And you said the last 2 weeks are not good for you?
I can do the 19th. It's a Monday evening. I
Well,
don't have a board meeting.
I'm fine with the
I don't know. I was actually,
Oh, but we're all, I don't.
I was actually leaving on the 19th to go to Columbus for the 20th.
Oh, you're leaving
Oh,
on
the
19th.
meeting.
I'm leaving first thing in the morning, so
That's kind of early to get up.
whatever, Michelle. But yeah, still, we can do a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning.
On a Saturday.
But there's a difference at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay. Well, I'm good on the 19th. I'm not going down to Columbus until first thing in the morning. What time does it start, 9?
9, yeah.
I mean, I went the other day and I was on the road at 6:45, and Michelle, you can get on the road at 6:45 while you're playing.
I'll be leaving in the morning also.
Yeah, I think most of us are gonna leave first thing in the morning, so we could do the 19th. You know, hey, I just put it out there. You guys, however, whatever is at everyone's pleasure is fine with me, but,
The 19th is good for me as well.
so.
And if the
let me
19th,
say-
if the
anyone-
19th doesn't work, can we do April 2nd? It's another.
Are you out of
Monday.
town then, Ms. Miller?
No, no. Mm-mm. April 2nd would be fine.
That's the Monday after Easter.
Correct.
That would be fine for me. What about you?
When is spring break?
Week of the 26th.
Okay.
24th, actually, that Friday.
Break, or will we be back from spring break then, Mr. Jolly? I mean, I know it's just,
to April
Back, that
2nd.
would be the first day back.
First day back.
But what does spring break have to do with?
I just thought about that because they're not coming to
Nope,
the meeting.
it's just us.
Okay, so my question is, since we're gonna do a weekday in the evening, are we looking to, because I know some of you all like to be in and out, and to Ms. Gator's point last time, we may not be in and out in an hour, hour and a half, maybe not even 2, if we were gonna do Saturday for 4 hours. I just need to know, are we talking 2 nights, or is everybody gonna be willing to stay until it's done and not breathe hard and not complain, because we all have to work the next day? So at the end of the day, it's a board meeting.
Wow.
If I can make a suggestion, to your point, if we can do March 19th and April 2nd, that will give us 2-hour sessions. We only have 3 goals to go through.
Right.
I mean, we could do all 3 in one night. For the last one, which is community, parent, and your student, your teacher engagement, that's a discussion. That's a discussion, us deciding, coming up with some things that we can do. And if we take a look at the purple book, I don't have it with me tonight.
Keywords.
The key works of board members, it's a lot of good ideas in that book. And the thicker NSBA book, it's a lot of ideas in that book as well. That we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can leverage what's been tried and true and recommended by other districts. So honestly, I think we could do one night, knock out the last three, and we can move forward.
I think that's.
So if we could do March 19th, then we're done. And then we figure out, you know, when, then we build the timing in to decide when we're gonna put these things into play. But no, it's not gonna be a quick, to Michelle's point, we're not getting out of there in an hour. So we've gotta all be willing to participate and be there and be engaged and be present and in the moment.
So bring a dinner or eat before you come.
So are we looking at like a 6 to 9?
Yeah, we could do 6 to 9. Can everybody do 6 o'clock start time?
Great, sounds great.
Ray,
Sounds great to me. I mean, we don't got to squabble. Let's just pick a date and move on.
Those folks that work downtown, can you guys get out here by
I
6?
can get here.
6 o'clock work for you, Michelle?
I mean, I can do earlier. Y'all just don't know.
I can too, but
6 o'clock is the earliest
yeah,
that
but
I
That's
Amy
fine.
works downtown. I could do 5 o'clock, but we've got members that get off at 5
That's fine.
and work downtown. So 6 to 9 on
Y'all infringing on my other.
March 19th, excuse me.
March 19th.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we gonna be at the board?
Yeah, let's keep it
I
there.
think
That's
so.
fine.
I
Yeah.
think we should be.
That's
I
fine.
think so too.
I'm fine with that.
So are we doing March 19th and April 2nd or just March 19th?
Monday,
Only
March,
if we have to do, only if we don't finish it would we try to get another day, but I'm thinking, like Ms. Mitchell, we can get it done all on one day.
I need y'all to be quick because I got to drive 2 hours after this.
So we have it set for March 19th from 6 to 9.
And
Yep.
Board, I think this will help with the lobbyists too, you know, to kind of show, hey, you know, as far as a moratorium, these people have done everything that you've asked. So, sooner the better.
Any other discussion on that topic?
so we have special notice.
Dr. Rock will get that out.
Yep.
Number 5 on the board agenda, unfinished business, career fair. We do not have Ms. Smiley. 5.2 was,
I had a question for Member Elba.
Yes,
oh,
ma'am.
I'm sorry.
So, what is the plan? Are we still planning on doing something coming up here in April?
No, actually, the date that was looked at is May the 3rd. It's going to be held at South University. It is, the plan is to do it from 10 to 2 like we did before. Ms. Moomin and Ms. Mitchell had expressed an interest of doing a, workshops for parents and students. So I didn't know if you want, what piece you wanted to be in it. Ms. Moomin, Ms. Smiley is gonna reach out to the two of them as far as them doing mock interviews, resume writing, things of that nature.
You said May 3rd? That's a Thursday.
Yeah,
She said May 2nd, I thought.
May 3rd. It's a
May-
Thursday.
May 3rd is a Thursday, and I work, so I
No,
will.
no, not, but the piece that you would be doing, she's gonna have workshops set up after school. So then you would be able to do it after work. So like the workshops for the,
It's a Thursday. I'm unavailable on Thursdays, and I can't do that second.
no. Okay, so the actual job fair is the 3rd. We won't do anything that. Prepping them to get ready for the job fair is what you and Ms. Moomin would do in the evenings after work.
Okay, we can discuss that.
Okay, so just let me know, but I didn't know if Mr. Freeman or Ms. Gator, you guys wanted to.
I will probably personally, if I can work it out with my schedule at work, I'll come and show some support. But I would, at some point, I would like to engage the board in a discussion about doing something a little bit different for the next school year, September, October. And again, something more so that's geared with students' actual career aspirations. So that's kind of where I'm going. So you know.
So here's what Ms. Smiley has done. She has gotten with her parent liaisons to send out a flyer to the parents, the community, and the students as to what their career goals are. And then those are the type of employers that will be there. And the way it was done the last time was it was a 3-day in the afternoons. It was after school, so parents and students could come. One day was mock interviews, resume writing, and then the final day was I actually had a partnership with Goodwill, who actually gave the students clothing to wear to the interview, and some parents who didn't have it. And then the actual day of the fair, Mr. Jolly has set up a bus for those students here in the district who wanted to attend, and the bus took them there and brought them back. So,
Mr. Jolly or Mr. Reynolds? Since
No,
this is the
Mr.
high
Jolly.
school, right?
yeah, but Mr. Jolly has set it up because he had been working with myself and Miss Smiley on it, so he did that piece. And because Mr. Jolly has set it up, because we didn't want kids at the 9th hour, the day of, saying, oh, I'm going, when you had not been part of the trainings prior to it. So that way it was kind of eliminated, and to ensure that we were still in the guidelines with the union and whatnot.
So I think what you guys have is great, but again, like I said, I would like to kind of work on something just a little bit different, but looking at like October, November. So I completely support you guys. I think what you're doing is great. We can all work together, maybe establish a committee of some sort and start discussing it over the summertime maybe.
Okay, so just so if this board wants to do this again, the best time to do this again is gonna be October, because that's when employers hire for the holidays.
And
So I'm just putting it out there so everybody can kind of keep it in the back of their head. So, March and April is generally when they hire for the summer, and then October is generally when they hire for the school year. So we did have a couple other school districts that reached out to us that would like to be a part of it. So Ms. Smiley is creating the flyer and is gonna send it over, so those students will come over as well, but they're gonna have to attend a workshop as well.
All right, and then just one final thing. As far as the board's role in this, I just want to make sure that we are making sure that we are staying out of the day-to-day. We are not trying to write contracts. We're not directing any of the staff members to do anything. We are completely functioning within our role as a board and going through Mr. Jolly for anything that needs to be done. So I do want to put that out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on the career fair? Next on our board agenda is 5.2. It's actually a policy discussion. I think we talked about it. There was 2 policies in 36, Volume 1, that our indication from this board is that we would want to adapt something like that for recognition and for the amenities on those policies. They're actually in that 6680, I believe, but.
So is this, now, because we had several discussions about this, and one of the discussions was that because the board is not active enough, that the board was gonna take the lead on something, but then we had another discussion that the board would take the lead, but then Mr. Jolly would reach out to the principals could reach out to the teachers to point out those students, so we're not always recognizing the high, but we're recognizing the low, the medium, and everything. So which one are we?
This is for educators
Totally different?
or staff, I guess.
Okay.
This is about refreshments and things like that.
Yeah.
The one that we got rid of and
Correct.
bringing it back.
That that's exactly right.
Put budget back in there.
The one that our legal counsel had advised.
And what was the reason that we got rid of it?
There's 2. There's one for recognition of employees and one for amenities.
6623 and
6680.
Yes.
Why did we get rid of that again?
And why would it be?
We got
ORC.
rid of it again because the state auditor made the recommendation, and then I guess maybe they got some pushback or something.
Was
on
that
it.
what it was, Mr.
Yes.
Rock? Okay.
They must have got some pushback on it, and then they came back, they being Neola came back and said, hey, you guys should really check with your own legal teams to make sure that they're in agreement. So even though Neola has their own legal team, just like when we contact OSBA, they still say, the board has their own legal team, make sure that you confer with them.
So has this policy, or has anybody on the board had conversation with the state auditors to make sure that this is coinciding with whatever their pushback was?
The attorney, we got with our attorney, right?
Yes.
Dr. Rock, you looked at it too.
Yes.
Ohio Revised
The
Code.
attorney, it started with the attorney from Neola, double checking it with the state auditor to see if the Neola standard policy is acceptable. And that's
So-
what they wrote the policy with.
So what did the state auditor say?
They said that you have two options. The
Okay.
two options in the policy that we have here to pick from. You could either, option two is to say that the district will pay for nothing, pay for no recognition, no amenities. Option number one defines a blanket authorization for the board to pay for amenities and to pay for limited recognition up to $25, which ties into the Ohio's licensure for teachers.
Well, I don't think we should ever got rid of it. I think we need to recognize our staff.
Oh, yeah, that's
You can always
exactly.
recognize them, but this is actually giving them a cash reward. I mean,
Well, this is for gift cards and whatnot.
correct, that's correct, that's correct, that's correct.
It opens up the opportunity for us to do the financial portion of the recognition.
A couple of years ago, the state auditor said, you shouldn't be doing it at all, period. So we adopted that policy and followed that. But in the meantime, other districts kicked back saying, you know, is this really reasonable? You know, what if we define it? So now they've edited it to where it's at right now.
Now, last year, we did police ourselves. We didn't spend, I don't think, did we, Dr. Rock, spend any money on?
No.
That's because we adopted the policy that said otherwise, so we followed what the policy said.
Yeah, but we still might have let some money go through the cracks. I didn't know if we.
I think we pretty much stayed true to it once we adopted the policy.
Mr. Jolly?
So, I'm sorry, so can we bring it back around? So we just need to decide whether or not we're gonna do the 6623 and the 66.
Yeah, we need to vote on those. I mean, I want to activate it, I think, with Mr. Superintendent Jolly's staff, where you having Tiger Way presenters, maybe?
Yes, yeah, March 26th.
So his staff had some actual candidates for the March 26th meeting.
All right, so we can discuss that. I'll reach out to you, because we did kind of share some concerns when it came to the whole recognition piece, just, I mean, making sure.
So, but I think we're mixing apples and oranges. This is their thing. You guys are talking about what we discussed as a board. So this is the way they do their recognition.
Right.
the
Right, that's exactly
monetary
right.
portion to give the gift cards or whatever. We don't get involved with that. What we were working on as a board was part of that accountability goal, where we said we wanted to do recognition, but we wanted to do the high-low and make sure the same people weren't recognized. So that's two different things.
So, but isn't this policy though still
It will
going
cover
to,
that.
it's going to coincide with
cover
both?
that.
Because
She's right.
even as a board, if we are still doing our own recognition, where are those funds gonna come from? It's still gonna come from the fund.
That's true. I
So-
just wanted to make sure you guys were clear on which one we were talking about exactly. That will impact it, but,
Okay,
and I can't find the email now that has the
That's okay.
actual, documents in here.
So what we're agreeing to for 6680 as far as amenities is concerned.
It's recognition. 66.
Recognition, excuse me, but it does say, such amenities may include but are not limited to gift cards of a reasonable amount not to exceed $25.
Correct.
Teacher or student recognition, gifts appropriate to the occasion, caps, clothing, blah, blah, blah. So that's basically what we're asking for, 6680. We can go round and round, but at the end of the day, that's what we need to know for that one. And then for 6623, they're asking for option number one, same thing. Board recognizes the value in providing meals, refreshments. It's right there, I'm not gonna read it all.
There you go.
But again, not to exceed $25. So we're basically taking it back to the way that it was, and we have conferred with our attorneys, and our attorneys agree that in regardless of what the state auditor has recommended, we are still within ORC code, within our legal rights to do it the way that we're doing it. So,
And we're not the only board that's going back. I mean, there's other boards that's doing it too, so.
so we can vote, or however we're gonna do it, or whatever the plan is.
Board, I'd like to take a vote on it. We can do these separate, I guess.
you stop saying aye.
That's all right, we're voting together.
Together.
I do need a motion to,
Can you stop saying aye?
Some clarity here.
uh,
I mean, at least. When I look at recognition,
Uh-huh.
community,
uh-huh,
I look at the leaders of a building. who more likely to know that a person have went well above and beyond to do their job. So you want to recognize that person. I still think that it's the responsibility of the administration team to work with their staff to build morale in the building. How do you do that? You do that by pointing out the staff, whether it's 1, 2, 3, that they are doing a good job. We are not in this school, so we don't know. But it's the principals of each school should know what their staff are doing. And we should, and I totally agree, we should reward those staff. But is it the responsibility of this board to do that?
They're bringing, so, may I go
So,
ahead?
are you saying the different principals is gonna bring those people, Mr. Jolly, to us
I'm with you on this. I know where you're going.
to say, Ms. Womack, I see you. Ms. Womack, students are fantastic, and she should get a certificate or something to show that we truly appreciate the hard work that she does.
So I think the board, whatever the boards will, we do the Tiger Way Awards in which
Okay,
which people are nominated by their peers.
Okay.
So other people nominate the people. They're not selected by anybody.
Okay.
They're selected by their peers. So whatever the will of the board is for their recognition, we are open to fulfilling it. But the way we do the Tiger Way Awards is not selected by any administrator, it's selected by peers or teachers.
And is it set up so that only one person can get nominated, or can they get selected multiple times?
So that's where our issue this time, because sometimes you only get one person that gets nominated, but I think this time it might be 2 or 3 people.
So I would say, Mr. Jolly, the challenge for you and your administrative team is to try to find other ways to bring out the best in people so that different people can be acknowledged.
No,
That would just be my thought. So, again, 6623, 6680.
Any more discussion? I need a motion for policy number 6680, recognition, option 1, and policy 6233, option 1. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that this board approve policy 6233, option 1, and 6680, option 1.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Moved by Vice President Mitchell, second by Board Member Gator. Any discussion? Dr. Rock, could you, Dr. Rock, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Elba,
yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. No new business. Dr. Rock, do we have any correspondence?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, we posted, I'm sorry, Mimi, I forgot. 5.3, there is a House bill on the floor as of Wednesday for House Bill 512. Ms. Gator, you would like to speak on that?
Yes, thank you. So let me just kind of recap a little bit. So, you know, as legislative liaison, it's my job to make sure that I share information from OSBA about state and federal education-related legislation. So I attended the state conference last Tuesday, and one of the hot topics from everybody there was House Bill 512. House Bill 512 was recently introduced into legislation by State Representative Bill Reinecke. He's a Republican from Tiffin. And in a nutshell, this legislation is combining 3 different offices. It's combining ODE, Ohio Department of Higher Education, and the Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation into one state agency called the Ohio Department of Learning and Achievement. This bill is going to transfer the majority of the duties and authority from the State Board of Education and the Superintendent of Public Instruction to the new agency. Lawmakers are going to have you think that the purpose of this bill is to improve cooperation and communication among the agencies. However, it is believed by OSBA that there are several reasons that we should oppose it. One of them is the simple fact that ODE provides essential services to our local school districts, educational service centers, and joint vocational school districts. They also feel that it is more of a, it's more of a bureaucracy, where you're moving to a model, where our K through 12 students, they're lost in the bureaucracy. And then it also states that OSBA feels that school districts rely on expertise and service from ODE and implementation of Ohio's complicated and underfunded school funding model. And then the final thing is, OSBA states that ODE is not perfect, which we all know, but given its continued downsizing over the years with the increased responsibilities, it is believed that ODE continues to provide an indispensable service to our district. So, again, House Bill 512, at the end of the day, undermines the role and authority of the elected members of the State Board of Education. What it's basically doing is stripping the State Board of Education of their right to act on behalf of the constituents that they represent. So the notion is that education in Ohio will be at its best when the interest of the people are served through publicly elected boards. That is pretty much what OSBA stands for. They want to make sure that, everyone's interests are fully represented. And they're saying that the State Board of Education is no exception. So as a result, they've established this resolution that I'm asking this Board of Education to all agree to sign off on. And what we would do with the resolution is send it to OSBA. They're actually going to be hearing more testimony on this March 14th, this Wednesday. And then they're also asking that we reach out to our individual legislators and just let them know that we oppose it for the same reasons. Does anyone have any questions about it? Concerns with us agreeing to sign this resolution?
Or do you have any question about House Bill 512 at all? Ms. Elba, any questions of 512?
I do.
I guess we can take a vote on it.
So, Ms. Gator, is this meant to be a resolution?
It is meant to be a resolution.
Okay, and you're asking that we do this resolution tonight?
Yes, yes, I'm asking you to do the resolution tonight, especially since the fact that they're hoping to hear more testimony on Wednesday.
Okay, all right, sounds good to me. Are you gonna read it?
Yeah, well, you took the words right out of my mouth. Would you like to read it?
For me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't mind reading.
Thank you.
All right. Whereas the Ohio House of Representatives is currently considering legislation that would consolidate the Ohio Department of Education, the Ohio Department of Higher Education, and the Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation into a new state agency called the Department of Learning and Achievement. And whereas the proposal transfers nearly all the duties and authority of the State Board of Education and the Superintendent of Public Instruction to the new state agency. And whereas this proposal was drafted without the input of students, parents, educators, administrators, schools, school districts, superintendents, and board members, all of whom would be negatively affected by the bill. And whereas this legislation creates an environment in which the unique needs of students, educators, parents, and school districts will be lost within an expanded bureaucracy, and the role and authority of the elected members of the State Board of Education would be undermined by stripping the board of nearly all of its duties. And whereas supporters of this bill cite a lack of communication among state education agencies as the key source of Ohio's education problems, but effective collaboration and cooperation is already occurring, and each school district strives to effectively prepare its students for college or a career. And whereas important decisions on topics like school funding, graduation requirements, report cards, and state assessments would be made by politically appointed, unelected staff with little to no accountability and under a process with almost no public input. And whereas public education is at its best when the interests of the people are served through publicly elected boards, and the State Board of Education is no exception. And now therefore be it, and it is hereby resolved, that the Warrensville Heights City School District Board of Education does express its opposition to this legislation, House Bill 512. And be it further resolved that the treasurer be directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of the Board of Education, and that copies of the resolution be forwarded to members of the House of Representatives and the Ohio Senate.
Thank you, Mrs. Gator. At this time, I would need a motion to
It's a second.
accept the.
Just
re-
need a second.
It's a second. Ms.
Oh, I'm
Gator.
sorry. Did you already?
Motion.
Okay.
I second it.
All right, passed by Member Gator, second by Vice President Mitchell. Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Before we wrap up, I do want to acknowledge Board Member Gator's birthday today. I want to say happy birthday to Ms. Gator.
Got my Buckeye card. Oh, man.
Those. Dr. Rock, is there any correspondence at all?
No, sir.
So I do have a question regarding policies. Where are we at as far as looking at the changes for ESA, as far as Title II running out of funds going to zero? And what are our plans? Are we adopting anything? And is there a plan that you guys want to adopt a First Amendment? Remember when I told you that about the students having the right to kneel without being punished? We briefly talked about that. That was something that we discussed in Washington, so I didn't know, where do you guys stand on that as far as that? So that's like 3 policies. So just, you know, the ESA, the Title II, and the First Amendment. So just so you guys know, that's out here.
Ms. Gator, have you heard anything from?
So
ESA?
ESA, what is ESA? What is that one?
The
Rita?
Every Student Succeeds Act.
I don't remember us inquiring about that one. We did inquire about First Amendment, and I'll have to go back and see, or reach out to Joe, but Joe said that there is a policy that speaks to it. I'll send it to you guys, and maybe we can discuss it at our next meeting, because we might need to I don't know, need to rephrase the policy.
For the First Amendment one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We also talked about medical marijuana was
Right.
one that I had
That's exactly, I
asked
remember
about.
that one.
So we need to have some discussion about that. And then the other one was, an equity policy. ESSA, I guess I
have-
apologize, I missed that one.
That's okay.
And then you said something else.
The Title II, that's just to make you guys
Title
aware.
II?
Title II, that
Funds.
their funds are going to, plan on getting rid of Title II funds.
So what would a policy,
Well, no, that's not a policy. I'm just making you guys aware of that.
is that a House bill, or is that something going through legislation, or?
It's going through legislation right now.
So there's a House or a Senate bill?
Yeah.
Title II is improving teacher quality.
So, Mr. Jolly, I have a question for you. Friday, there is supposed to be a nationwide walkout for students regarding the opposing of the Florida shooting. Is there a plan for the students here in this district to do it? And if so, is there a plan already out? Are they aware of it? Are they not doing it? Where are they at with that?
Yeah, they are doing it at
Ms.
the high
French?
school. I can send it out today.
Well,
think
I
I
can't hear everybody, I'm
email,
sorry.
we got email.
I sent an email
I didn't get
to,
that.
yeah, I sent an email today about what the high school plan is. That's the only school that's, has a plan. I'll resend it today. But the high school does have a plan in place. So they'll be going out, they have it all organized today. There'll be no penalty, we support it fully.
Oh, no, I wasn't expecting to be a penalty. I was just wondering were they included in it?
Yeah, they are. The full plan is,
I'll touch base with
I sent it probably like 12 today.
you. Yeah, it came out this afternoon. It's in our inbox.
There are a couple announcements. We are going to do our board goals on March 19th from 6 to 9 at the board. So that's March 19th. March 20th, there is a meeting down at OSBA. It's House Bill 70. I guess they invited a couple districts, and that's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Down at, is it 5100 or High Street, whatever it is, but it's at the OSBA offices. And also, OSBA, the Northeast region, is having 2 dinners. One is in Trumbull County.
It's not a dinner, it's our annual conference. It's our
Okay,
annual spring
conference on the 22nd of this month, starting at 5 p.m. And then they also have another one in the Northeast region on March 28th in Parma High School. so.
So what it is it's our annual spring conference. And so what they've decided to do was to not make it as long as it has been in the past. We're having 2 different ones. So those who want to go to Warren, can go to Warren. If you don't want to go to Warren, you can go to Parma. I will be at both, but I only have to pay for one
Okay, great.
because I have to work the table that night
Okay.
for both of them. So
just
I don't know
register
if
you for
anybody
the
else
one
is
that you
going.
wanted?
Excuse me?
Register you for the one that you said to
Well, it
register?
doesn't matter which one you register for me for. He just said I just have to pay for one, but I'll
Got
attend
it.
both. To my knowledge, nobody here in Warrensville is being recognized. I don't know if anyone had put anything out. I didn't. My plan is to actually put something out for the students for the latter March one, for the program that I told you guys about, the middle school making the orthotics thing. And I want to do that for the March one because they'll have a better chance of doing the Capitol Conference if I can get them to be nominated and win for the end of March one.
So you'll let us know when, I mean, we get emails when those nominations come through, because I want to make sure that we get our dancing, whichever, middle school, I don't know if it's middle school, Eastwood.
It's Eastwood.
Yeah.
Dancing classroom.
Get them in.
Yeah.
Also on March 24th, they have March for Our Lives. It's going to be at downtown at Public Square from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're asking for all board members and educators to come down to Public Square on the 24th of this month, March, Saturday.
Who is doing that?
It's a bunch of educators. Pam Cruz from Maple
Oh,
Heights.
I saw that on Facebook or something, okay.
And then spring break is actually starts March 23rd, and they'll be back in session April 2nd. This board is actually going to the National School Board Association Annual Conference, which will be in San Antonio. And that's in San Antonio, Texas, April 6th through the 9th. Is there any other business we need to discuss?
I just have a favor to ask. Could we leave a place marker on the agendas, just because there's so much going on legislatively, for a brief legislative update? Sometimes I may have nothing to report, but at least that way I don't have to keep reaching out saying,
That's fine.
can we add this to the
That's fine.
Good. I have this for you.
I need
You
a-
can look at them, but I need a back.
I need a motion to adjourn this meeting for tonight. Can I have
First
a motion?
and Issa.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn the March 12th work session board meeting.
Do I have a second?
A second?
Dr. Rock, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin? Yes. Mrs. Elba?
Yes.
Mrs. Gator?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes. We are adjourned.
Guys, grab some cupcakes.